the ministry.
Yeah, the senior special assistant to the honorable
Senior
commissioner.
special assistant,
Yeah.
the honorable commissioner, local government activity affairs, talking about one of the strong politician in Kaduna State, former local government chairman of Kaduna, not local government. You have to be somebody before you become local government chairman of Kaduna, not local government. Sadiq Maman, Lagos.
Right. That's a very
Familiar name.
very familiar name, very
Yes.
powerful individual
Jackie, part of
in
the
Kaduna
update
State right now.
yesterday, part of the update that I forgot, supplementary update. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was the candidate of the PDP in the 2019 and 2023 presidential election. Yes, yesterday he had a special interview with Arise TV, and he announced that he'll be running for the presidential election, the 2027 presidency. And of course, it will be his last shot because by 2023 he'll be 80 years old. And of course, Peter Obi too earlier had interview, and he expressed his intention for running for the presidency. So yesterday too, the national chairman of the APC, Professor Nentawe, is that name is always
Nentawe.
Nentawe, yes. He, alongside with the secretary, Senator Dr. Basiru, they were so confident, talking about aligning with today's topic, so confident that come 2027, they shall cause home to victory. And also, I love the analysis that he gave, particularly in the northern part, which people say seems to be slipping away from the APC. But of course, the Popular Secretary, he's here. And he will put meat to that. Jaggy?
All right, so let's start with that. Your thoughts, Bala Azari, what are your thoughts on that confidence expressed?
Okay. Once again, good evening, listeners. The thoughts of the APC leadership of our confidence of winning the 2027 election spring from the fact that we have at the center, that's under the leadership of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a performing government, a government that is not shy, that doesn't shy away from taking painful decisions for the greater good of the country, and a government that within the shortest possible time has given confidence in the especially economic sector of the country, and it is confronting the challenge of insecurity headlong. Credit must be given to this government that although there's still issues of insecurity here and there, but nobody can deny the fact that the government has shown willingness and ability and courage to be confronting this menace of insecurity, and it is achieving successes. It must be recalled that prior to the coming of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015, the northern part, especially the northeastern part of the country, was bedeviled by insecurity related to Boko Haram insurgency. It was a fact that the insecurity then was confined to that area of the country, the northeastern part of the country. And on coming on board by President Muhammadu Buhari, I don't know what influenced his decision or thinking at that time, but major security outfits of the country were handed over to people of northern extraction to head. His national security advisor throughout his tenure was a northerner. The DG of DSS during Buhari's tenure was a northerner. NI was a northerner. Chief of Army Staff was a northerner. Chief of Air Staff was a northerner. IG of Police, all the ones that headed the police under his tenure were northerners. Immigration was a northerner. Custom was a northerner. Civil defense was a northerner. even correctional services and fire brigade, national fire brigade, fire service to all were northerners. So he handed over the security architecture of the country to northerners that he hoped were going to deal with the issue of insecurity decisively and make it a history by the time he leaves office. Unfortunately, the incidents of insecurity metamorphosed and spread beyond the borders of northeastern part of the country. By the time Muhammadu Buhari left office, there was so much insecurity in northwest and north central part of the country. Almost the entire northern region was engulfed in insecurity associated with banditry, kidnapping, and what have you. Under Buhari's governance, we witnessed the abduction of travelers using the train station. At a time, Nigerians, especially we northerners, cannot go or travel with a heart full of confidence and free from fear from here to Abuja, a distance of not more than 200 kilometers. People resorted to using the train, and they were abducted in the train. And up till today, as we talk, those people that orchestrated that heinous crime are yet to be brought to book. But so under a northern presidency, the issue of insecurity became a much bigger problem for the north. But on coming on board by President Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there are areas in Kaduna, especially now I'm making reference to Kaduna State and northern Nigeria in general, where people cannot access, like areas like Birnungwari. I know for as a fact we had a governor here in Kaduna State who wanted to travel to Birnungwari but could not afford to use the road. He had to use a helicopter to fly to Birnungwari, which shows the level of insecurity then. If the first man in the state, the first citizen of the state, cannot ply the road, then how about ordinary citizens? We all know the time that the insecurity metamorphosed to, especially from 2015 to 2023. So you should know who was the governor then. So, and that governor failed using both kinetic and non-kinetic approach to tackle security. It failed woefully. But now we have a government in place where, especially since we're in Kaduna, people can travel at any time from Kaduna to Birnungwari. People go to their farms unmolested. People go sleep with some level of security. In southern Kaduna, we had a time when people sleep with their both of their eyes opened. They cannot even sleep. Let alone it used to be said that you sleep with one eye closed, but people slept with two eyes opened. People cannot afford to sleep because they were afraid that they could be attacked while asleep. But from the time this government, from 2023 to date, came to power, both in Kaduna State and in Nigeria in general, incidences of insecurity associated with communal violence, religious strife have greatly reduced. Issues of insecurity related to banditry, kidnapping have greatly reduced. We are not saying that there's no insecurity still. It is a work in progress. The government is confronting it headlong. For the first time, we saw a president that gave a marching order that VIPs that were using police officers as escort the escort should be withdrawn, and it has taken place. When there was some dragging of foot by the former IG, the president did not waste time to use the hammer and dealt its decisive blow. It shows a president that is committed to the security, to the progress, to the development of Nigeria, and that is why the business community and the international community are praising the president. Of course, it is not yet El Dorado. Of course, there are challenges, especially in economic aspect. People still complain about the high cost of fuel. People complain about the disparity between naira and dollar exchange, which of course before he came on board, we used to have the corruption in the foreign currency management was beyond one's imagination. Then if he were in the good books of a central bank governor, he can make you a billionaire within a twinkle of an eye then. But we have a president who said, no, that cannot continue in this country. We must have a definitive policy that is transparent, that is workable. At the beginning, there could be some pain, like the deregulation, the total deregulation of the petroleum sector. Gradually, the Naira is finding its feet. That's what obtains all over the world. I remember I was in South Africa in 2019, and I had an engagement with some people in the mining community in Johannesburg, and I was talking about the improvement of the value of the Naira, and I made reference to saying that Nigeria now regulates the Naira. Now Naira is at par or at a particular rate to the dollar, and almost everyone that is sound in business, sound in economics, was kind of surprised. Wow, how can you regulate a currency? Then if you regulate a currency, it means you don't know the true value of that currency. And for a currency to compete, it must have its own true value. And that is what Mr. President is doing. And it is restoring confidence in the global investment community. People now are coming to Nigeria to invest, because gradually the issue of insecurity is being addressed. Especially we Northerners are supposed to thank Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for taking the bull by the horn by doing some infrastructural development, which were denied us by even the Northerners. We remember during the time of President Muhammadu Buhari, it was said that Mambila, there was going to be electricity generating plant using hydro at Mambila Plateau, and the government campaigned that they have done that. Unfortunately, even the road was not even tarred that would lead to the site for the Mambila. Even a stone was not laid there. We were deceived. Under President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua's government, he was passionate about dredging the river Niger in order for heavy duty ships to berth in say Lokoja and what have you, and he took on doing that. Unfortunately, he did not live long to see the fruition of that. We expected as Northerners, and a man that Northerners clamored, gave their time, blood, energy, resources for him to become the president, to do something like that that will improve the economy of the North. Yet President Muhammadu Buhari did not do that. Even dredging of the Baru port in Niger State, it was not done. Even the train station, the rail tracks that we enjoy from Abuja to Kaduna was led by President Goodluck Jonathan. And President Muhammadu Buhari did not add a kilometer of rail track. Now we have a president in President Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is continuing with that up to Kano, and it will lead up to Maradi, improving Nigeria's international trade. So now Nigerians are free to trade, are free to move, even though with some level of insecurity, but the economy, despite the challenges, is still moving on. So we have a government that is keeping its promises. It's not yet perfect, it's not yet Uhuru, but a government that is keeping to its word. And Nigerians have seen that this government is true to its word, and it's delivering on its campaign promises. It's not yet perfect. It has its deficiencies, but it's much better than the ones that came before it. And Nigerians trust that. And that is why we are confident come 2027, there's no any party that will compete with us based on our track record of humane services, of focused development, economic improvement. We have even a government that gave fertilizers to farmers free of charge. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria. So yield in the agricultural sector is improving. We in the past year or two, prices of food commodities skyrocketed, but gradually they have found their balance, and now food is more affordable than it was, and it's going to continue still to be more affordable, to the extent that it will be available for everyone in the country. So the issue of food security is being ensured by this government. The issue of fiscal security, yet though there are challenges, but there's great improvement from the where we're coming.
Okay, so you actually have highlighted quite a lot, and there are questions that have sprung up from that. And we are going to go on a break. But before then, I would like to pick up on something about delivering on promises. Now, the president, there was this particular promise. He said, "If I do not give you power by 2026, sufficient power, do not vote for me in 2027." And the situation of power, which of course I know you know, is also directly impacting on the livelihood of people, is a situation that is yet to be resolved. I would like for you to hold on to your answer. I just wanted to lay that down before we come back to you after this commercial timeout. What are your thoughts concerning that promise? Is it a promise that has been fulfilled? From where I stand, it doesn't look like it, but where do we go from there? If you're just joining us this evening, with us in the studio is Malam SANI, HARUNA Dan Azari, and we will be going on this short break. He is presently the APC Publicity Secretary in Kaduna State. We do not know what other cap he will be holding tomorrow, but stay with us. The program is spot on. We'll be right back. This is Invicta 98.9 FM.
Ji daɗin abincin onga don babban dandano da ƙamshi.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development and the care they need with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics to help your child's digestion and development, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. And all of these work together to support your child's development and growth today and tomorrow. NanKid 4, nourish your child's potential.
Yanzu lokaci ne na garabasar samun nasarar Indomie. Muna ƙara cin Indomie, muna ƙara samun nasara.
Kamar yaya?
Ku tara emtin ledojin Indomie noodles guda 10 mai gram 70 ko mai gram 120 wato super pack. Ku kai su cibiyar karɓar garabasar nasarar Indomie domin samun damar cin kyautar paketin Indomie mai gram 70.
Yawancin Indomie, yawan damar cin nasara. Domin ƙarin bayani ku biyo mu a shafin Indomie Arewa Facebook ko ku tuntuɓi cibiyar garabasar mafi kusa da ku. Indomie, ingantaccen abinci.
Domin nasara.
All right, welcome back from that commercial timeout. Still with Malam SANI HARUNA Dan Azari in the house. And like we said, he is currently the APC Publicity Secretary in the state. And we've been talking about the 2027, the APC, and the power of incumbency. How well are we going to see the APC will that? I did ask about...
How ready are they for the 2027 general election?
Are you that confident?
Jackie, with 31 governors in their coffers, more than 2/3 in the Senate and more than 2/3 in the House of Reps. Yes.
That's a lot. When we talk about the power of incumbency, you actually seem to be holding all the aces. However, there are these issues on ground, and I would like to hear your thoughts about it. And I'm quickly, because I'm conscious of time, I'm just going to add to that the gender question. You've had your convention, and how well are we looking at the issues of inclusion? The APC came into power on the Muslim ticket, both at state and at federal level. And now we have all this talk about inclusion. While I know that flag bearers have not emerged just yet, I know everybody is bidding their time and looking at what card the other parties hold. I'd like to ask about inclusiveness both for gender, I'm talking about women here, and the youth. Is there any plan to ensure that there is inclusiveness of these disregarded groups now in the APC moving forward? Or are we going to be seeing the same old thing, what we saw before? Is that what we're going to see again? So I'm merging all of these questions, talking about the promises of the president, the one particular promise where he said, if I do not give you power, do not vote for me. That and the question of inclusion.
Okay.
Azari. Yes.
Yeah, of course, campaigns are naturally different from real governance.
Okay.
And one thing one can never fault Mr. President is action. Nobody can fault him maybe to say that he has not taken action. It is on record that when this president came on board, of course, he saw a power sector that was equally deregulated and inefficient and heavily centralized, because we all rely on the power grid from the center to supply, generate, transmit, and distribute energy. He looked at it holistically with the eye on the final consumer in such a way that even though it is deregulated, the power holding companies are allowed to charge individuals based on prevailing rate, but again with a humane approach in such a way that it will not eat too much into the purse of the citizens and of course affect businesses. So after looking at that with the MYTO, and it is Mr. President Bola Ashwaju Ahmed Tinubu that using an executive bill amended the constitution and gave state governments power to generate electricity. It shows a person willing to keep to his promise. He gave the state governments power because the center there cannot be one generating entity of power. For that his dream and promise to be actualized, the law was amended to give state governments power to generate and distribute the electricity. Now, a lot of state government now have power holding or power generating companies. So it is in trying to give life to that promise he made to Nigerians that that happened. It is because people thought it would be only the center, the federal government, that has the power to generate, transmit, and distribute. But now he unbundled it. He tried to do that, and yeah, we cannot say that power is available to everyone. But we have seen incidences of I'm trying to find the right word for it, where vandals go to power generating plants like the Kaenji, like the Shiruru, where vandals vandalized bandits and terrorists in order to put a hammer or a spanner in the works of the government. So we will not say that
more like sabotage.
Exactly, sabotage. So we will not say that the government has failed. It has not achieved the desired goal because of certain challenges, but Mr. President has not failed in trying to provide power to every Nigerian. By the will of God, before the 2027 election, more capacity will have been installed, and more transmission and distribution networks will have been installed, and more efficiency will be in the system. There's more generation now than transmission. What we generate, there's no enough efficiency to transmit and distribute.
More
So-
like something like 6,000 megawatt on ground
and
generator,
then maybe
but there's no capacity to transmit.
Yes, so the
equipment to
capacity to transmit is being enhanced, and I believe before the 2027 election we'll achieve a reasonable level of transmission, and by the time Mr. President comes back in 2027, before he leaves office in 2031, 32, I'm very sure Nigeria is going to be a country that every citizen will be proud of.
Of inclusivity?
The question of inclusivity, it surprises me that you're asking me this question, that this president or this government, it has not included people. No. APC is the only government party in history that made inclusivity mandatory from our constitution. It is the only party from 2014, when we were registered to date, that made it mandatory in the constitution, in the National Working Committee or the State Working Committee of the party, there must be leader of people with disability. It wasn't like that prior to the coming of APC. When APC enshrined it in its constitution that even people with disability have a vote, have a say, and are citizens and should be given the right to contribute to the development of the country. It's only APC that has done that. Maybe if there's anyone that has done that, must have copied it from us. Then it is we that have a very young, at the very age of 30-something, as our Minister of Youth Development in the country. It has never been like this. There are many youth now that are heading very important agencies, and one key aspect of this governance that this lady Hannatu Musa, of course she's a minister, Hadiza Bala Usman, she is even the person that is checking the activities of the ministers. It has not been like that prior to the coming to power of this government of Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So inclusivity, there's no government in the history of Nigeria from the time of Olusegun Obasanjo to this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has given sense of belonging to every sector, to every group, to every of Nigerians, like the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nobody has done that. Yet, the strategy that brought this government to power, the issue of Muslim ticket, it was a strategy. It was not founded on religious ideology, but it was a strategy to win an election. We all know how the country is, and sentiment at the time, and both the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Vice President Senator Kashim Shettima are people that are known to have large heart. They are people that do not discriminate based on gender, creed, religion, or tribe, or whatever. And it be about the credentials of this government. There has never been one action of this government that portrays it as tilting towards a particular faith. This government has embraced everyone, every faith, and has given everybody equal chance, equal opportunity to contribute to the development of the country. So this is a government for Nigerians, of Nigerians that believe in the unity and aspiration of Nigerians, but that believe equally about the capacity to deliver, irrespective of one's faith. The key issue here is ability to deliver, the competence, and that is what APC is promoting at all levels. Here, to Kaduna, you made reference to Kaduna that we have Muslim ticket. Of course, we do have Muslim ticket, but it is only in this government of Senator Obasani that the South Kaduna part of the state that traditionally has always voted for PDP and lately to Labour Party has transformed under a Muslim leadership to join that trend of Muslim leadership. Don't you think there must be something? if it is a government that does its activities based on certain primordial sentiment, the southern Kaduna would have done hills and said, no, we are not coming. But today, there's no one elected person in the whole southern Kaduna, the 8 local government, including the 2, Kajuru and Chukun, that belongs to any other party apart from APC. It shows a government that cares about the country, a government that cares about the development of every part of the state, irrespective of faith, religion, or whatever. It is a government that today in Kaduna State, one of the local government that voted against the coming of Senator Obasani as governor is government. But today in Kaduna State that has 2 powerful commissioners, Commissioner for Internal Security and Commissioner of Sport, and it has the chairman of Kaduna State Revenue Service, government, and this is a local government that did not vote for Senator Obasani. So the government of APC is not influenced or does not allow any sentiment to influence its decision or appointment of people into offices. It is only about the character of individual, the capacity of the individual to deliver, and the competence of that individual. And that is why today development is spread across the state, and appointment are spread across the state without consideration of the faith of the individual. And that is why still the whole of southern Kaduna today trusts Senator Obasani as a leader that they want to vote for going forward from 2027. They have never had it this good. Even under the so-called Southern Kaduna friendly government of PDP, they have never had this good, where every citizen of the state is seen as respected as citizen of the state. For the first time in Kaduna State, we have a council of elders headed by the dual of Zamani Lekon and Abakar Mustafa, in order to sit down, brainstorm, find solutions to our social problems. And we have succeeded. This is a government in Kaduna State today that from the time Senator Obasani CON was sworn in on May 29, 2023 to date, we have never had any communal, religious, or any social upheaval in the state. It speaks about the core of leadership, to give everybody a sense of belonging, to respect everybody and allow everybody to contribute to the progress and development of the state. So to say to the issue of inclusivity, there's no government in the history of Nigeria that will be respected, that a hat should be doffed for, like the current government of APC, both in Kaduna State and in Nigeria at large.
Okay, Jackie, let me take this line. In the course of discussion, you said President Bola Tinubu, by the time he served his second term in 2031 or 2032. Now, you talk as if it is already a fait accomplished. Looking at the 3 giants that have a combination of 40 million votes. Remember, President Bola Tinubu had 8.9 or 8.7 million votes. Atiku 6.9. Peter Obi 6.1 million votes. Rabi Musa 1.4 million votes. These 3 giants, they have come together. They are marched under a coalition. If they put their votes together, how do you think President Bola Tinubu will have a swift way? And secondly, Governor Obasani at any time would always say Kaduna is a one party, or there's no any opposition in Kaduna. Run short of saying it's a one party state in Kaduna. With the coming up of the coalition ADC, the strong force in Kaduna, can Senator Obasani still say that again? Looking at, I'm talking about the first line, Bola Tinubu, can he have a swift way putting the 14 point something million votes of the trio of Atiku, Peter Obi, and Rabi Musa Konkoso? How would the APC, what magic would they do?
if you are going to make political postulations or projection,
Yeah.
and you are going to use a certain previous activity
results,
or result as foundation for that, you must equally relate to the context. Context play a role in swinging votes from one party A to party B. It is not entirely Kwankwaso